Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for coming out today to the 30th annual LA Zoo Photo Day Contest Image Review. I mean, that's a mouthful, isn't it? So thank you for coming all the way down to Creative Photo Academy. I hope you guys will find it worthwhile today. And people ask me all the time, so Mark, why don't you do more image critiques? Well, we do. We do 4 to 5 image critiques per week. And that's in boot camp, intermediate, and advanced photography class. So all of the boot camp, intermediate, and advanced classes include an assignment with an image review and critique. So that's part of the normal class program that we do here. So we invite all of you to come. What's the matter? That's okay. I don't care if I'm cut off. So I got to scoot back a little bit. You want me to zoom out just a titch? We can do that. Is that better? But I zoomed in. So we're going to zoom out like that. Better? Perfect. Right there? Better? Okay, good. Thank you. So we love doing the classes. And we love having you all come. I know that some of you are geographically undesirable. And that's just the way that it is. There can only be one of these. Even if we built a satellite location in your town around the corner from your house, would it be the same as coming to the mothership? No. So that it's just, so we're going to keep the mothership going, right? So let's talk about the image review. We had about 60 photographers, which is about a third of the total, who came to the zoo and our pictures, right? We had 20 some odd photographers have a winning picture or an honorable mention picture. That's awesome, right, that you guys did that. I never count the number of pictures because some of you entered 2 pictures and some of you entered 30, right? So it's not the number that matters, right? Can I give you guys a couple of hints for entering a photo contest? I sent you my tip sheet early on how to enter a photo contest. Do I want you to enter lots of pictures? Yes. Only if you have quality entries. Entering 4 different images of the same giraffe or the same elephant with different expressions on their face shows the judges you can't make a decision. So does that help you or hurt you in the long run? Hurts you. So as a photographer, as an artist, you need to make a decision. So Monica, here's my best entry. Love it or hate it, right? And is it okay if the judges don't like it? Yes, because the judges are human beings. They're no better or no worse than you are, right? But they just have the job today of doing the picking, right? And they either liked your choice or they didn't like your choice. Now, I am not involved in the judging. I manage the judging. I don't choose which picture wins or loses. So I can talk to it because I carefully stand back and I make notes about what the judges are saying. And the pictures you see, the 4 pictures up on the board here, are the 4 pictures that the judges chose as being the most remarkable. Not the best, but the 4 pictures that stand out. Let's talk about those images. What do you see in these images? What is remarkable about them? Anybody? Come on.
Detail.
Detail. They're sharp, they're crisp, they're clear, they're in focus, all of that. Yes, they haven't cropped the you-know-what out of it so it's blurry. They haven't used a $200 lens with a teleconverter so it's blurry, right? And it's in focus. It's proper, good shutter speed, good aperture. What else?
Lighting.
The light is fantastic on all of them. The light is perfect on all of them. So the exposure is good. The print was made right on all of them. What else? Content-wise. Eyes. So, well, you've got 2 eyes on the second from the left, but that's a different story. But what do these images, do they grab you? Do they have an emotional content? Yes. Is there something that draws you in and holds you to the image? So these are 4 remarkable photos because they have a storytelling, They have a storytelling ability. They're clear, they're concise, and the photographer has made a decision. Right or wrong, they have made a decision. And can you agree to disagree with these being the 4 top photos? Yes, and you'll see some other photos that are very close, right? But the judge, and I don't ask them to do this. They said, you know, Mark, these are the 4 that really stand out. This is the cream that rose to the top, right? And you can see that they all have a very similar look and feel to them, right? Okay? Any questions?
Great lighting.
Yeah, and great light. I mean, everything about them, right? So you're not a winner. None of the... Usually when you see the winner in a contest, there's never an apology about that picture, right? There's never anything that, you know, it should have been this, right? If it should have been this, then it's in the next level down. So, Brian, if you want this picture to have the desired effect, it should have had a $20 bill taped to it, right? I just had to mention that. Thank you, Brian. So, this one of the lion, of the tiger, very nice image, right? The judges loved it. It's printed on metallic paper, so it has a nice pop to it. It really looks good, but the composition held it from the top. Does that make a big difference, yes or no? Yes. Absolutely, right? Now, should you, if I was shooting this picture, I would have flipped the camera from landscape to portrait, right? And then push in to do that, right? So that I would even like to see it like that, right? Now, maybe you don't have a big enough lens to do that. I understand, right? But you want winning pictures. Award-winning pictures, once again, have no excuse, right? You leave it all on the paper. Let's look at all of the tigers, because, ladies and gentlemen, this is how they're judged. So, what do the judges do? So the first round of judging is, we have 60 some odd envelopes that come. You know, Victoria, you have 10 pictures, and Sharon, you have 10 pictures. The crew goes through your envelope and picks out all of the good ones, the ones that we think have a chance to win, right? The other 7 of the 10 go back in the envelope, right? And why is that? Just practically, I mean, there's no point looking at it again, and it's a pain in the neck to go and put them back in the envelope, right? So that we bring the genies out of the bottle, so to speak, and line them up. So then what we do is we pile them up by animal. So that's how we're going to talk about them today. So we line all the tigers up. Because how can you judge a picture of a tiger versus a bird? Right? You can't. So here are the 2 winning pictures that are tigers, and 2 that I wanted to discuss, right? So let's talk about, so we saw this one's beautiful, well done, nicely framed. Pete did a great job on this. I mean, when you get up close to it, you can see that he cropped a lot of this. It's really at the edge of where it can be, so he could not go to a bigger print from this for whatever he did to it, right? Now, and I don't know what camera he used, what lens he used, but from a clarity point of view, if I put my glasses on, right, it's good, but it's at the end. That's all you can do. Right, we talked about Jennifer's, awesome. Jennifer, did you print this yourself, or did you have it printed?
I had it printed.
You had it printed. Yeah, it's a beautiful print. It's on metallic paper, awesome.
I almost cropped it that way.
You should have, it would have won.
I sat there late at night after work in that late 11, 12 a.m. time.
Okay.
But I'm learning.
No, we're all, so
I like it. I like to learn.
do I learn about photography every day?
Every day.
Am I trying new things? So at Creative Photo Academy, we have a saying. Every time you do something, there's one of two results: success or a lesson. It's only a failure if you don't learn a lesson from it, right? Success or a lesson. Okay, this one. Nice image of the tiger. What's the problem with this one?
The glare on the leaf.
The background. Compositionally, remember and for those of you who don't know that rule, boot camp lesson 2, composition. The eye goes to the brightest thing or the most contrast in the picture first, which is here. So the tiger is it's ruined by the background. So much so that when we're in Africa, so Jane's coming, where's Jane? Jane's coming to Africa with me in February. There's room for all of you to join us. Actually, not for all of you, for a couple more to join us. But if we're shooting an animal with this background, I'll move. I'll move the truck. I'll move the Jeep to find a better background that is more photographable. Do we have that option at the zoo? No. And this person was probably so thrilled that the tiger actually stood up and looked at them, right? But as an award winner, no. What about this one? What do you see on the one on the right? Muddy. Poorly processed, right? So, a great capture, and this could have been an award-winning photo, but this is why we ask for prints, right? So people ask me, Mark, how come we can't just upload a file? Because if you enter a cooking competition, do you mail in a recipe card? Right? It's not a photo until it's a photo, right? So whoever did this one captured a great image, but then the processing in the camera or the computer or the printing was subpar. It didn't bring out what it needed to be.
What do you mean by muddy?
See how, so number one, there's too much color saturation. One of the first things that beginners do is take the color saturation, boom, go way up. The shadows are blue.
Oh,
Number
okay.
two,
All
you've
right.
got the black of the tiger's stripes is blocked up. So they probably in the computer went contrast and drug contrast up.
Okay. All
And
right.
if you come to Photoshop or Lightroom class, we never recommend you deal with contrast. Contrast in Photoshop and Lightroom is a mistake. So this one, I mean, if this would have been cropped, and printed properly, this may have rivaled this one for the first position, right? But it didn't, so it's not. Nope, you can't cry with spilled milk, right? It's over, and it's a mistake. Okay? Any questions? And am I making it clear to everyone? Is it pretty simple here? All right, cool.
So you said never use contrast or what?
We don't use contrast in Photoshop or Lightroom.
Okay.
So for some reason, and it's like every dang year, the chimp category is just like over the top, right? And, you know, chimps is a target-rich environment. So, you know, for those of you, so Mark's picture here, the judges really like this because it captured a moment, it has a great feel to it, there is an attitude to it, an emotional content here. Jason's next one looks great. Now, granted the background is bright, and at the chimps it's really hard to do that, but you did a good job on managing it. So if you notice on the tiger one, it was blown out white, where this at least you've controlled and the eye doesn't just go right back there. It's a good moment. Karen's is great, so there's a good feeling there to it, right? The judges really like that one. Tim's here, I mean, there was 1,000 of this guy with the pepper, right? And so what we do is the judges pile up, okay, here are all the chimps with the pepper, right? This is the best one. And when you look at them that way, it's clear that that's the best one, right? It's really easy. It becomes self-evident, right? And Sean's picture here, I really like it. I wish he would have done a little bit better job in the framing and in the printing, right? So the contrast in the background, yes, it's through the glass, but you should be able to manage that. He cut off the bottom of the chip. For those of you who've been to my classes, cutting off is not, was I upset when the top of my head was cut off? No, it's not needed, right? You don't need to see how much hair I have here. But is cutting off this much of the chimp's butt a mistake? Yes. It needs to have a little bit more space here, and I would work the contrast in here. Now, when I shoot this one, I would make it black and white for Mark. Why? Because I have a lot more control over the contrast in a black and white image than I do in a color image, right? So when you adjust the color in a color image, you get color shift as well. Things turn orange or blue, where in black and white, I can manage the gray tones a little bit better, compositionally wise on this. Anybody have questions about these? Yes, go ahead, Joyce.
First Saturday, someone asked on the first day.
Yeah.
Was it with the flash?
Which one, on the left? Tony, did Mark use a flash on this? No flash. All natural light. So it looks like it could have had a fill flash, but if you just, why do we use fill flash? So that you can do this repeatably, right? If you're not using fill flash, what do you have to wait for for the chimp to move? Boom, there it's going to catch the light, you get the picture. So if I'm doing a picture, Teresa, right? If I'm doing a portrait, I ask you to move your head till your eye catches the light, right? The chimp is a little less cooperative than that, just a little.
Yeah.
Right? Not much different than your kids, is it, Tony? Not much difference in cooperation between the chimps, right? And I don't mean to be calling your children chimpanzees, but... Yes, Brian?
One comment on Sean.
Sure.
Because we'd emailed back and forth.
Yeah.
And the first impression I got of his was that's a photo equivalent of a Roman arc.
Oh, absolutely. I love it. So I have another great picture similar to this of mine that I titled it, Who's in the Zoo? Right? Because it looks like the people are in the zoo and the chimp is. And that's why they built this part of the LA Zoo, is to have that animal to human interaction, right? So remember that at the zoo, they're trying to make it so the humans have a good zoo, a good experience, but also so that the animals, it's interesting for them, right? Because you're in this enclosure for your whole life, right? They want some stimulation for the animals that way. So Jason, your honorable mention moment on the chimpette, right? Just a little bit too much space. Needs to come in a little bit tighter. This one, not as crisp, and the background is just too bright. See how it's got the bright background again? And you don't have much control over that. But you do have control of it in the exposure in the camera and in the processing in the computer. And you need to begin to manage that. And if you're not confident enough doing the spot meter, doing the Lightroom and Photoshop work, that's why we have the classes, to help you with that, right? So this one, a great moment of the fight over the food, but it's completely not sharp. It's a great snapshot, and maybe if this was a picture of Elvis wrestling Godzilla, it might end up in the newspaper like this, but anything other than that, it's not gonna go, right? Yikes. Yikes. Right? Great moment, great capture, exposure and printing. Right? I mean, it's blue, right? It's just, you've got to get this stuff right. Right? Well, but I captured the great photo. It shouldn't be about the printing. If you buy a great steak and burn it, is it about the cooking? Yes. Right? It's always about the cooking. Look at me. It's always about the cooking. Right? Yeah. And so here's the opposite, right? Is that the right tonal value for a chimp? No, it's too light. Right? And I love the light on the face, but the whole weight of the picture is really strong to the left. There's too much weight on the left. If it would have been printed like that, I can see this. The weight works better this way, but then it has to be printed better. Once again, it's the light, right? And the chimps are so tough, right? And so, if you're submitting photos to National Geographic magazine, all the editor is going to care about is what you submit, right? They don't want to hear excuses about it's raining, or the light behind you, or she doesn't like me, right? None of that matters, right? And I know this isn't National Geographic magazine, but your picture has to stand on its own. So here, great moment, great capture. This light processed this way, so I can tell exactly what happened with this one. Person shot it. They were an evaluative meter. The chimp was completely underexposed, so they used the lightness and darkness or exposure slider, depending on what tool they're using, and brightened it and completely blew out the background without any thought to controlling the highlight and the shadow detail, right? So you've got to be able to do that. Same thing here. Same thing here, right? You've got to maintain the detail in the whole picture, right? If I had a picture like this and I couldn't process it so that this was taken care of, I throw it away. Because, yeah, it's a great capture. Yes, it's a great moment. Yes, I got the chimp doing this, but I can't do anything with it. Questions? Yes, go ahead.
Are you going to pick on other people, not just me?
Have I looked at the back of any of these, Jason?
No, I'm just
Okay.
saying. I'm just saying.
I didn't know that these were all used. So here's Kelly's winner. Here's Sharon's honorable mention. And there's one to discuss, right? Can you see why the judges chose the one they chose? Yes or no? Yeah, right? When you think about it, and people say to me, well, Mark, mine was almost as good. It's either the best or it's not. And are some of them, was there a debate between these two? Yes. So Sharon, two of the judges said, if she could have just darkened the background a little bit, right? Because this is a better moment, but this is a better presentation, right? I really love this moment. And in Africa, this exactly, Victoria, right? In Africa, I love this because when you drive up on the zebras in Africa, a lot of times you can't tell which way, and that's why they stand this way. They stand this way two ways. Number one, so that they can watch out for each other. Number two, to confuse the lions as to which way we're going. And number three, so you swat my flies off my face and I swat your flies off your face. But the background, right? And even if you shoot this one at 2.8, it's not going to go away enough. It's not going to go away enough. And I'm not good enough in Photoshop to go through and fix this, right? So what do I do here? I'm going to go this way 10 yards, and I'm going to talk to the zebras. Come on, guys, turn around a little bit. Look this way. Look this way. And sometimes they answer, and sometimes... Is this one yours too, Jason?
No.
Okay, good.
Submitted for chips, so.
So you're done. You can go home now, right? Because we're done with Chip.
I got a winner here somewhere.
The first ones did listen to you.
Pardon me?
Never mind.
Anyhow, so is that clear for everybody? Is this a good way to see this?
Yeah.
All right, time out a second.